What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You know who it is by now.
Jimothy.
Now, ladies and gents, it has been a while, and what I'm going to say to you guys is if we hit 300 subscribers on the channel, I would definitely tell you why I tend to kind of go a little bit away for a few days in the week. However, that is something for another time. Today, ladies and gents, I'm going to issue you guys a little bit of a challenge, and that is to help me out. So me and my buddy Tom, we decided we're going to go to the remote duel locals this weekend, and we decided to choose each other's decks. So he decided to choose for me Invoked Mekk Knight. Now this is a deck that I've been playing for a while, just a little bit casually, but it's a very old build. So what I'm going to do today, ladies and gents, is just basically showcase that deck and leave it to you guys to help sculpt the deck into somewhat of a competitive beast. Now I'm not, well, I say not, I don't have access to some of the power cards like Triple Tactics, Talents, Forbidden Droplets, to name but a few. However, I will be able to get access to a few of the slightly cheaper cards that should be able to buff our deck up in any way, shape or form. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to go into the deck profile and hopefully get some feedback from you guys in the comment section on how to make this deck better. So starting us off with the monsters, ladies and gents. Now we are playing Invoked Mekk Knight, or should I say I am playing Invoked Mekk Knight, and what would be any kind of Invoke decks without the main guy himself, Alistair. 3 of, I don't know if that needs to change or not, considering we are playing the Mekk Knight bundle, but we've got 3 Alistair anyway. Also for the Mekk Knights, again, this is an old build, so it's a little bit janky. I have 1 Mekk Knight Avram, it's probably going to get taken out. 1 Mekk Knight Green Horizon. We've got 1 Mekk Knight Red Moon. For the rest of the Mekk Knights, we've got 1 Mekk Knight Yellow Star, 2 Indigo Eclipse and 1 Yellow Star. So 1 yellow, 2 indigo. I'm also running 2 blue. I do have a 3rd blue somewhere. I could potentially put it in, but I've only got 2 in this build at the moment, but this could potentially get buffed up. And I'm also running triple Mekk Knight Purple Nightfall. So those are my ratios for the Mekk Knights, ladies and gents. I do have access to Gisu. I've got 2 Gisus at the moment. I still need to find a 3rd, so for that reason I haven't put him in this deck specifically, but it is something that I can potentially put in. Moving on to some of the techie cards, we've got 1 Gamma Seal, 1 Dino Wrestler Pancratops, and we've also got 2 Iron Dragon Tomaton. I quite like this card in this deck, Tomaton. It's a quick effect. If there's 3 cards in a column, you can special summon this card to the field and it blows up all cards in that column. So it's a nice bit of disruption, particularly going second when you're typically going to have like 2 or 3 cards. Well, you're definitely going to have 3 cards in a column if you're summoning out your Mekk Knight. So Iron Dragon Tomaton is a nice form of disruption, and it can actually help to just alleviate some of the problems on the board. I'm also running 1 Nightmare Corruptor Ibli and 1 Hyperia. Ibli is actually really good. She does create a column and she does lock your opponent out from Gamma and from Nibiru, for example, because once she gets linked off, she goes to your opponent's side of the field and it can only special summon link monsters. So very powerful card. Again, something that I'm toying around with. It could potentially be taken out. Hyperia, in the same vein, is just another little tech card. Once you normal summon it, you draw a card. Simple as that. Nothing special. It doesn't progress your game state in any way. It just allows you to dig a little bit deeper into your deck. So something that I could definitely mess around with. For the hand traps, again, this is so super janky. It's kind of cringe looking at it, looking back at it again. But we've got the Gamma package, which is actually quite powerful, especially with searching for Alistair with Magical Meltdown, which I'll get to in a moment, as well as the 1 Ash. Now, like I said, it is a very janky profile, mainly because these were the cards that I could get a hold of at the time, and I never really just updated the deck. I played pure Mekk Knights, but never really updated Mekk Knight Invoked, hence why I've got such a random assortment of cards. But that is the hand traps, so to speak. Again, light targets for Mechabat and mainly a fire target for Purgatrio, which actually is the main game winner in this sense. Next up for the spells, we've got some consistency spells. We've got triple World Legacy Memory, E-Telly for Mekk Knights, get your engine going, can play on your opponent's turn. Nice bit of interruption, so to speak. We're also running triple Magical Meltdown. Again, this is a card that's been called for to be hit on the ban list. It just boost the consistency of Alistair and friends to no avail, allows you to fusion summon without issues, so triple magical meltdown. Also got the 1 terraforming just to search our meltdown, which is basically another copy of it. Double invocation. 3 was a little bit cluggy. I was seeing it way too much in my opening hand, and it's searchable off Alistair. If Alistair goes through, you typically only need the 2, just in case one gets banished off DD Crow. You got the other one to fall back on, and if that doesn't work, then obviously you can just fall back on your Mekk Knights. So double invocation. For a couple of power 1-ups, we've got 1 Monster Reborn. We have got 1 mind control, 1 called by the grave. Nothing special about that. This is kind of like a go in second build, but this is something again that I probably need help with. We're also playing 1 World Legacy Succession, 1 World Legacy Key, and 1 Galaxy Cyclone. Galaxy Cyclone's a nice little tech. You can set it and then activate it in the same turn because it's not a quick play spell card, and then you can actually pop a card face up spell or trap that's on the field once it's in the graveyard. So nice little bit of a utility card. Again, it is a bit situational at times, but it makes a nice column. So yeah. Then onto the traps. We're playing 1 World Legacy Secrets and 1 World Legacy Whispers. I did have the second one. I don't know where it's gone. I have got 2 more in order because I believe this definitely needs to be a 3 of, in my opinion. Monster effects are very, very heavy in this meta, so definitely a 3 of. I'm actually waiting on those because I ordered those earlier on today. World Legacy Whispers, this is a little bit, this could potentially be in the side. It actually negates spells that activate in the same column as a Mekk Knight. It's not as impactful as World Legacy Key, which actually negates traps, mainly because they can potentially play around this pretty easily, but nevertheless it's still an option that's in this deck at the moment. And then for some random assortment of Chank, we are running the singular red reboot. This is a game ender. If you've got this and Purgatrio, you can actually just poke for game very, very easily, especially if they've got 2 or 3 monsters on the board. Purgatrio will just poke over all of them, and then you can actually just attack with your Mekk Knights for game. And actually allowing opponent to set a card will actually boost Purgatrio by a couple of hundred, which is super useful. So 1 red reboot. 1 Heavy Storm Duster, Waking the Dragon, and 1 Lost Wind. Again, ratios can be toyed with. Waking the Dragon potentially could come out, although it does make nicely for a bit of a bluff, because typically once your opponent knows that you play Mekk Knights, they want to get rid of columns, so they could try and get rid of your back row as a starting point. And Waking the Dragon is just a nice little boost in terms of making your opponent fearful of just destroying your whole back row. So yeah, nice 1 Waking the Dragon. And now we are on to the extra deck. So we have, for the links, we've got 1 Salomon Grey Almirage, we've got 1 Lingeribo for our lib, we've also got 1 Secure Gardener to be able to go straight into our Mekaba. I don't own Artemis as yet, but I will get an Artemis, which will help to reduce this, but it's nice to put a Firing Grave early just to be able to go into your Purgatrio, for example, and just have a few attributes in your grave just for a bit of a consistency, so to speak. Next, we have the 1, oh, this is so janky, it's terrible. I'm just looking at these cards and thinking to myself, why the H did I build this deck like this? Is crazy. But anyway, 1 Mekk Knight of the Morning Star, this potentially should be at least a 2 of. We've got 1 Alistair the Invoker of Madness, and we've also got 1 Cyframe Lord Lambda, just for our Gamma package. At times you can go into this, specifically if you manage to Gamma in your opponent's turn, sorry, on your turn, and you can just make Lambda, which is really simple. Again, useful. It actually puts a bit of pressure on your opponent because they start thinking, have they got another Gamma in hand? But yeah, it's useful in that sense. Next, we have 1 Mekk Knight Spectrum Supreme and 1 Mekk Knight Crusadia Avramax. This is boss daddy of the deck. And Mekk Knight Spectrum Supreme is actually a decent card, something that I think I potentially would consider leaving in as 1, because it can attack directly, it can't be targeted if it points to no monsters, and it can pop a card in this column, well, pop a card you control in the column to add a card from deck to hand, which is super useful. And Avramax is Avramax. Onto the fusions. Again, this is so janky, but we've got 1 Invoked Elysium, 1 Mekaba. I do have the other Mekaba on the side. 1 Kaliga, which Kaliga is pretty powerful, to be honest, and I didn't even know it was a beast type monster, but yeah, pretty powerful. if you can protect it, which probably something that I will do. I'll put a Dingusu in here. 1 invoked Raijin, 1 invoked Aguides, 1 invoked Purgatrio, and then finally rounding us up with our XYZ monster, we have 1 Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon for Awaken the Dragon target. This potentially could get taken out. It is an extra deck slot based on something that's very, very situational, but like I said, it's very janky. But anyway, ladies and gents, that is the deck. I will be updating the deck and giving you another deck profile as to just before I actually go into remote duel locals to see it, so you guys can see how the decks change. But definitely get at me in the comment section below on potential techs, cards that I could include, hopefully techs that are not as pricey as some of the meta staples that are running around. And yeah, maybe we can have a discussion as to where we can take the deck and what we can do with it. But anyway, we find ourselves at the end of another video. As always, if you did enjoy this content, you know what to do by now. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.